DC movies, they are definitely a mixed bag. So the purpose of this video is to talk about why I'm excited to see the upcoming Wonder Woman movie that comes out tomorrow night.
I can't let you do this.
I gotta say, I'm pretty excited to see this movie. I love the portrayal of Wonder Woman in Batman vs Superman. I thought Gal Gadot, I don't know how to say her name. I think I'm saying it right. Hopefully, I loved how she portrayed Wonder Woman. I thought she did a really good job. She was badass in that role. It was kind of disappointing because she wasn't really in a lot of scenes, but I kind of understand why. It wasn't really the purpose of her to have a lot of scenes in that movie because the main focus was Batman going up against Superman. And I'm excited to see this movie because, for one, it's an origin story, and it takes place in a setting we haven't seen in any comic book movies lately. It kind of reminds me of the origin story of Captain America when they did the first movie for him, because that movie took place in World War II. This one is in World War One, and it's, from what I've seen from the trailers, it looks like it's going to be action packed. It looks like Wonder Woman is just going to be a kick-ass warrior, and I'm really excited to see how this movie is going to hopefully. Actually, let me put it this way. I'm excited to see if this movie is going to improve on the DC universe. Because let's be honest here. As much as I loved Zack Snyder's Superman, as much as I really liked his Batman vs. Superman, there are some flaws in the DC movies. And one of last year's biggest disappointments happened to be Suicide Squad, which is a DC movie. So I'm here to talk about what was good about the DC movies and what really wasn't good about them. And so the first one I want to talk about is Zack Snyder's Superman. I freaking love that movie. And I think I'm one of the few that actually did like it. A lot of people, hated on Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman. They said he was just too serious. He wasn't humorous. He wasn't as good as Christopher Reeve's portrayal of Superman. But I really appreciated how he played off Superman. It was definitely a darker Superman, and I think that's where his seriousness comes in. But, when I first saw the trailer for Superman, I got super excited. I've never really been a Superman fan. He's actually my least favorite superhero. I've always been a fan of heroes like Captain America or Batman. So after seeing Superman, I'm definitely a believer in Superman. I loved what Zack Snyder did with Superman. I thought the movie was very compelling. It had very good, spectacular action scenes in it. The very good acting from all the main leads, and a very compelling villain, a very scary villain. I loved General Zod in that movie. He's played by Michael Shannon. He did a very good job, and I wish we had seen more of him in that movie. So, getting off of Zack Snyder's Superman, though, we go to Batman vs. Superman. And Batman vs. Superman is one of those movies where it's just split right down the middle. You either love it or you hate it. It reminded me of Prometheus when Prometheus first came out. People loved it, people hated it. I definitely loved Prometheus, and I definitely loved Batman vs. Superman. Did it have its flaws? Yes, it did have its flaws. But the great stuff in the movie definitely outweighed the bad. So let me get on to my favorite part about that movie. Ben Affleck. Holy crap. He pulled off the portrayal of Batman. I absolutely love Ben Affleck's portrayal as Batman in this movie. He is brutal, he's vicious, he's terrifying, and even his portrayal as Bruce Wayne is interesting. I was invested in him. I sided with Batman on the choices he made, as to why he was so against Superman. I've argued a lot with people on why I was more on Batman's side than Superman's side. Me and my brother bickered back and forth about that, but I absolutely loved Ben Affleck as Batman. And it's funny because when they first announced that Ben Affleck was going to play Batman, the internet went crazy. There were so many people raging, and I was thinking to myself, you know what? Ben Affleck may have played in some bad movies, Daredevil, but I loved him in movies like Gone Girl or The Town. I thought he did a really good job in those movies. So I'm over here in the back behind all these people just going crazy about it. I'm like, you know, you can just give him a chance. I mean, he might actually pull this off. So when the first trailer came out for Batman vs. Superman, I was like, yes, oh my gosh, it looks so good. The suit looks awesome. He looks huge, and he just looks so badass. And I was super excited to see Ben Affleck playing that role. And when the movie came out, I loved every scene that he was in. Seriously, I would watch that movie just for the scenes that he's in. That's how good he is in that movie. Some people disagree with me on that. Some people didn't like how he killed in the movie. There's an argument that can be made about that, but it didn't bother me, and I understand like why the choices that he made, like why he made them. And then you have Henry Cavill again as Superman, and I thought he did a really good job in this movie too. He was still his serious self, and he wasn't. He was humorless again, and he actually, to me, honestly, it felt like he didn't have a huge role in this movie, which is weird because it's Batman versus Superman, but he didn't really have much to do in this movie except for the awesome scene between him and Batman just going at it, which I absolutely loved. I thought that scene was beautiful. But like I said, he didn't really have much in that movie. And another issue I have with the movie, and it's also an issue I've noticed in a lot of comic book movies, is the main villain. So I guess Lex Luthor would, yeah, he would be one of the villains. But I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about Doomsday at the end. You know, he was completely rendered in CGI. Me personally, I thought he looked good, but it definitely wasn't really something that got me excited. I thought it was a waste in my opinion. Yeah, there's that big moment where, spoilers, he kills Superman, and that's like an emotional, impactful moment in that movie, but it was a waste, and Doomsday didn't really have much to do, and he's in like the last 25-30 minutes, so it wasn't really anything enjoyable to see. Now, Jesse Eisenberg's portrayal of Lex Luthor in the movie, I liked it. It was kind of weird. He kind of was a little out there in some scenes, but it wasn't really an issue for me. I thought Jesse Eisenberg did a pretty good job. And then you have Gal Gadot's portrayal of Wonder Woman, and any scene she was in, it was absolutely incredible to watch. Now, there were some problems story-wise. You know, I thought the story was good, but it was how they portrayed the story, how they put it into the movie. And there's like some parts that drag, and it takes a while to get into motion. And it's kind of clunky, and there's like lazy moments in the movie. And one of the parts that's lazy, in my opinion, is when they go and they show the different metahumans like Flash, Aquaman. It's seriously Bruce Wayne sends Wonder Woman a freaking video to her email. She just clicks on it, and it shows the different superheroes, and that's it. That's how they incorporated the Flash and Aquaman into that movie. They could have come up with a better way to do it, but I understand that the movie's already 152 minutes long. It's It's a long movie. The director's cut's even longer. They added an extra 30 minutes in there. And so I kind of understand they kind of had to cram it in there. And it's definitely a movie where there's a lot going on. I had to go watch it a second time because it was one of those movies where after watching it the first time, someone came up to me and said, "So what do you think about the movie?" And I said, "I can't tell you. I really don't know." Because there was so much going on. I could tell them what I liked about it, but I couldn't really tell them how I felt about it completely. So I went and watched it a second time, and it was more enjoyable the second time. I noticed things I didn't notice the first time, and I loved it way more the second time than the first time. So I was able to tell people, yeah, it's a really good movie. You should check it out. And then they brought out the director's cut of the movie. And I appreciate it more. I definitely won't go back and watch the director's cut a second time just because that 30 minutes, I mean, you can definitely feel it watching it. But it definitely, there's some scenes they incorporate into the movie that fixes some plot holes and some of the storytelling. And it doesn't really fix all of them, but it made the movie more, like, I definitely appreciated the movie more. So the flaws about that movie, I guess, were, the storytelling, how they told it, and, Henry Cavill, Superman, he still was the same Superman, all seriousness, and just the way that Doomsday was portrayed in that movie was just such a waste. And it's, common in superhero movies now that the villain is just not as compelling. And that's my problem with superhero movies. Now, there are some superhero movies, say Thor, where, I really liked Loki. I love him as a villain. And when Captain America Winter Soldier came out, I loved Winter Soldier. He's a villain in that movie, but then, when Civil War comes around, he's a hero. But I loved him as a villain. He was scary. And see, that's the thing I tell a lot of people. I say, if I'm able to watch a movie, and if I'm over here rooting for the bad guy more than I am the hero, then they did something right. Because I love when a villain is way more compelling and way more interesting to watch than the hero. It makes the movie that much better. So that's something I'm really hoping they do for Wonder Woman. I hope the villain in that movie, the villain's interesting, and I hope I can invest in the villain. Because I already know I'm going to love Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman in the movie because she was awesome in Batman vs. Superman. So I already know I'm going to like her in this movie. Now, getting on to the latest DC movie that came out last year, Suicide Squad. That was definitely one of the more disappointing movies of last year. And it made me really sad. Because after watching the trailers for that movie, I was like, yes, dude, this looks freaking awesome. It looked hip. It reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy, where you got all these freaking assholes together and then they try to save the world. And it looked really cool. And I love the music they put in the trailer. And that's one of the problems I have is I fall for it. I'll watch a trailer that, it gets me really pumped, and I'm like, oh man, this movie looks really good, and I'll hype about the movie, and when the movie comes out, I'm like, it got me again. So, that was definitely Suicide Squad. Trailers got me. I was hyping about the movie. I was talking about it with all my friends. I was like, I can't wait for this movie to come out. I watched it in theaters. I walked out. Yeah. There's nothing special. Nope. I'm not saying all of the movie was bad. It's definitely my least favorite DC movie. But there are some fun moments in the movie that I had. like the first 20 minutes of the movie were really interesting when you have the scene where they're showing the different villains and their backstories, like Deadshot, Killer Croc, Harley Quinn, and it was just I love that scene. And you know what got me really excited for Suicide Squad? It was the fact that we were gonna see these villains in this DC universe that we've never seen in any movies before, and we're finally going to see a Harley Quinn in a live action movie. And I love Harley Quinn. She's a very interesting character. She's freaking crazy. And the problem with this movie though was some of the villains that they portrayed in the movie, they did not work. You know, I was excited to see Killer Croc. Yeah. He was definitely someone I was excited to see in that movie. I hated Killer Croc in that movie. He came off just stupid and he was gangster, and I didn't buy it at all. I did not like how he was portrayed in that movie. But I loved Harley Quinn in the movie. I thought, you know, in my opinion, that's just such a hard role to play, like, because that character is just so unique, and the way the actress portrayed her, I thought she did the best job that she could, and I was really happy with the end result of that. Will Smith did a really good job as Deadshot. He was compelling to watch. And then you have, you know, the big one, Jared Leto as the Joker. Everyone was really excited for that because we haven't seen a live action character portrayal of the Joker since Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight. And Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight, in my opinion, was the best part about The Dark Knight. I would go back and watch the movie and just for the Joker. And I know that's bad to say, but Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker was definitely one of the more memorable villains I've ever seen in any movie. And I was saddened to hear that he passed away. I was like, you know, I really loved Heath Ledger. So I was excited to see how Jared Leto was going to pull off the Joker in Suicide Squad. It's a mixed bag for me, and it's a mixed bag for a lot of people that I talked to. He's definitely weirder than Heath Ledger's Joker. Yeah, he's stranger. He's definitely out there. But he's really interesting to watch. He's crazy, and he has his own unique way of doing certain things. But my problem with the movie was we didn't really get to see the Joker enough in the movie, and that was so disappointing. And from what I've read online is that the director, David Ayer, he actually wanted to make the Joker originally the main villain in the movie. I was like, why didn't they just do that? Why didn't they just make him the main villain, have him just in the movie more, instead of this generic asshole we get at the end of the movie who's just a terrible villain. He's there is it's just a big special effect. That's all it is. It's just a CGI villain it's like Doomsday, but worse. And that was really disappointing. So we didn't really get to see enough of Jared Leto's Joker, and you know, I wanted to see more. And there was actually scenes in the trailer that they didn't even put in the final movie, and they didn't even put in the director's cut of the movie. And I'm like, why? And that's another problem I have with trailers where they show certain scenes in the trailers that they're not even in the movie. They're not even in the deleted scenes when you buy the movie on Blu-ray. So that was one issue I had with Suicide Squad. And also the storytelling's kind of lame. Like I said, the first 20 minutes are interesting, but from there on it just kind of goes downhill. There's really stupid moments. It kind of doesn't make sense in some scenes. The action, it's not really exciting. Like there's really nothing bad about the action scene in this movie. I mean, some of them look good, but like the last fight scene is it feels claustrophobic, and it's not as exciting as what I've seen in past superhero movies. So it had a pretty weak ending. I feel like I've been bashing this movie. I mean, I really haven't said a lot that I liked. I guess it was just because I was just really disappointed, in the end result. But like I said, there are a few, fun moments in it. Harley Quinn, Deadshot, they do a really good job. The scenes that Jared Leto are in, he's an interesting character. But besides that, there's really nothing else that I liked about the movie. And another issue I have with the movie is like every freaking 5 minutes they're playing a different song. Like the soundtrack to that movie is absolutely crazy. And then they play one song and then like 5 minutes later they play a different song. It's just like for every character you see in the movie, they play a different song. I'm like, oh my gosh, we get it. And it was kind of annoying. So that's my take on Suicide Squad. I didn't mean to bash it for anybody that liked it. I saw good ideas in the movie. I saw good ideas, and I saw what they were trying to do, but they didn't really flesh it out. It didn't really work. So it's definitely one of my least favorite superhero movies. But Zack Snyder's Superman and Batman vs. Superman, I absolutely love them. So here's hoping that Wonder Woman does does the right things of the other DC movies and fixes the wrongs. Like, I hope in this Wonder Woman movie that the villain is compelling. I hope the storytelling is better. And from what I've seen with the trailers, the action already looks good. So, and it's got an awesome cast. You got Gal Gadot in it, and then you have, I hope I'm saying her name right, and you have Chris Pine in it. And I'm really excited to watch this movie tomorrow night. So, definitely, if you like this video, definitely check out. Stay tuned for tomorrow night. I don't know when I'm going to have my review up. It just depends. Hopefully, I have it tomorrow night after I watch the movie. It'll probably be early Friday maybe. So thank you for watching my video, guys. I really appreciate it. So tomorrow night, I'll be watching Wonder Woman, and hopefully I'll have my review up either that night or early Friday. So just check back, and then I'll see you guys in the next video, and you guys have a wonderful night.